Alex, got to ask, how satisfying was the last one for you? You know, not just a win, but also to get a finish, which I know you hadn't had in a while. So just how satisfying was that performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Definitely the fruition of a lot of work and major changes in, my life moving to Colorado and just overall camp and, all the logistics behind it. So it was awesome. It was good to see that come to fruition.
I kind of wonder what the last 4 months have been like for you since then, right? Like, I'm sure people want to fight frequently, but as you said, all these changes that you've gone through, has this been a valuable time for you, and kind of what's the focus been?
Yeah, man. I was campaigning to try to get another one in at the end of last year, which was difficult just because, all the COVID shit, and so everybody's trying to get in. So, funny enough, it was we were looking at Moises, and then it came, at the start of this year. So, I just, I just get right back to the drawing board, get right back to the gym, and just hit the grind. So that's what I've been doing.
Nice. Looking at Moises, what was it about the matchup that was appealing to you, or did it just seem logical to you?
Yeah, there were a couple guys all around him, that were calling me out and that I was open to, but they kept getting matchups and I wasn't getting any offers. And I heard Moises as a potential candidate, and that was an actual, that was a tangible offer I got, so I took it. But I like it. We've been kind of side by side in the last few cards. The kind of the prospect there was tantalizing over the last maybe 3 bouts we've shared together. And I remember sitting in the back of this last bout, and he was curled over post weigh-ins. I remember thinking, geez, shameless there, sitting there in such a feeble position. I'd eat that boy up, but Bobby's probably going to have his way with him, and didn't go that way. And so here we are today. We got the matchup.
He said he was pretty excited by it too, because he said, based on your two guys' style, he sees fight of the night written all over it. Do you feel that as well?
I mean, the prospect's there. I've definitely changed the way I approach everything, and so I'm not calling these 30-second KOs anymore like I used to, or within the first minute or whatever. But I'm prepared, to get caught. I'm prepared for anything, but it's hard for me to believe I won't finish him in the first round.
That doesn't mean as you mature you're going to talk less trash, are you? We like the entertainment.
No, I'm good at talking, so I'll talk. But every time I've always talked, it wasn't out of character. It's because I felt it, And so I just the way that I kind of approach the game socially and professionally, I don't feel the same animosity towards everybody that I felt when I first showed up on the scene. And so I guess I just don't take it as personally or as seriously.
Nice. Well, obviously we've seen the talent that you have, but the consistent results are what you need, right? So what do you think the key is to turn the corner, or have you already done it?
I like to think I've 1,000% turned a corner. That's for sure, and that's evident just my day-to-day practice, just in my fight week. The way I think or conduct myself about anything. But there's still a lot of growth to be had, and so I'm excited about this matchup going against a guy who likes to fancy himself as somewhat of a striker, but certainly more of a ground predominant guy. And so just another challenge. Grutzmacher was certainly more of a striker. This guy's more of a grappler. It'd be fun to diversify and see how I've evolved, since first coming on the scene.
Nice. Last thing for me, what are the goals right now? Like you said, you went through all these changes, and you've had this kind of wild, crazy start to your career. So what are the goals right now? The goal's the same, to become champion. That never changed. That never slipped my mind. I'm just taking a more prudent and responsible route to the top now. Before I was on this like gun-ho rocket ship to get to the top, and I didn't give a shit about the names or even the contracts or anything, and I was getting offered peanuts to fight these big names, and now I want my worth, and I want to do it the right way, and I want to make sure that I'm prepared. So that's the approach. We're still going for the title, of course.
Yeah, do you look back on that, saying taking peanuts to fight big names, do you look back and think, I wish I could do it again and knowing what I know now, or do you think you had to do that stuff to get here?
Yeah, it's hard to doubt your journey. It really is. I think I've had a beautiful walk. I've taken the licks that I need to take, and it's hard to have too many regrets about it. I want to take different opponents or different matchups, because the maturation through those opponents, I don't think I could have reached nearly as quick,
Would you maybe talk less trash to Cowboy at the press conference?
Maybe. I don't know. I think if I could do anything, I'd go back. I'd win that fight. That's what I would do. Okay. But I did it successfully get in his head. I knew that, and I did show up, and I did make a noise in the first round. But my own my own inexperience, my own callow in that matchup. I fell on my own sword. And so if I could do anything different, I'd win that fight.
I think that fight has almost given you a reputation that you're a quick starter, but if you can sort of stem the tide, then you'll slow down. And if indeed your opponent was out here earlier saying just the same thing. Yeah. Have you worked on that? Do you agree with that assessment until now?
Yeah, no, I mean, if I were watching me, I would think the same shit for sure. And I would agree with that. And a lot of that was mental, just being in this big scene for the first time and taking on these big name opponents and expecting guys of that caliber to crumble like I was making guys fall through LFA or even, fortunate with Dariush in my debut. So, you watch me as a cannon out the gate, and then surely that's got to fade. So that certainly changed. A lot of that was mental. Some of that was the weight cut. I've done a lot of things on my own as far as like nutrition, things like that over the years, and I've really tightened that up now. Just become more professional with it, with getting a higher nutrition team and perfecting athletes. And last time I looked and felt completely different. And again, the mindset. I'm not as anxious or eager as I was before. I'm not going out there with the expectation that I'm going to knock this guy out. I'm prepared for whatever, and that's exactly what the performance was last time. I could have done that for 5 rounds if I needed.
Do you think that is all part of? It's like almost every fighter has to go through it, right? You start off, you're a young guy, you got an attitude, you're a fighter, so of course you can think you can do it all by yourself, right? And then you have to take those sort of losses to realize that actually you do need a team around you to help you grow. Is that just something everyone has to go through, do you think?
Yeah, and not to say I didn't have a team around me, but just the experience. But the realest shit in the world is that quote about the fast track builds the ego and the hard track builds character, and there's nothing that reigns more true than that.
It's a good quote.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
You mentioned some of the issues being mental. Do you think, this is a weird question, I understand, but do you think being intelligent and introspective and thoughtful is sometimes a hindrance to an athlete's development?
I think it can go both ways. I think it's an advantage I've got above all these other guys, head and arms above, and I think it's going to play to my advantage in the long run.
And then I know it's kind of been asked other ways, but I'm just phrasing it differently, I guess. But getting a target on you, being so good so quick, and having that target, do you think that kind of got you to where everybody just wanted a piece of you, and you didn't have a chance to develop the way maybe some other prospects just come up?
Right, and things like that, man, that's going to make or break you. Whenever you go through the fire and you get burnt, how do you come out? Do you stay an ember and you just wash away? Or do you come back a goddamn phoenix? And that's what I'm doing. I want to be the phoenix. So I think that it's those are some of the defining moments in a man or an athlete or a legend's legacy, his journey. And so for me, I think, again, it's hard to kind of think I'd want to do any bit of my journey different. I think that those would just be the defining moments that shape me.
And then going back to the intelligence aspect of things, having things you could fall back on, having something else you could do. I've heard some people say, the reason I made it was because I had no other option. Right. You do have options. Is that something that could be in the back of your mind and well, if it didn't work out, I can do other things?
I think I'm way more dangerous because I could do anything and I choose to do this.
Thanks for taking the time, Hernandez. You match up so well with your opponent. It does have Fight of the Night written all over it. But where do you see yourself having the advantages over Moises?
Again, it's hard to see a disadvantage other than the fact that I'll be sharper and there's always Bruce Buffer's puncher's chance, and that having that Brazilian arc to your swing. You get caught sometimes behind the ear, you get caught on the chin, you get those blind spots. So he's got the advantage in swinging in a lot of blind spots. I'm going to be far more acute, far more sharp. I have a wrestling advantage. I even think I have an advantage on the ground. So it's just the biggest advantage I'll have is in composure, and I'm going to come out and execute a clean game and just make sure I don't get clipped. And should I get clipped, thanks for the trying sessions at Factory X every Friday in the cage. I'm prepared to go to war in a mid-range situation.
So you kind of answered the next question of what do we expect from you on Saturday? Those 15 minutes, just go hard, or if you could put them away early, that's what you're looking to do?
I'm not looking for. I'm just looking for a W, and so again, I'm not calling it. I can't picture going out there and executing my game against this opponent and not wrapping it up in a round.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Best of luck on Saturday.